So please welcome Jill and Elaine Larson.
So, good afternoon. How many of y'all have ever heard of Woodstock? Okay, now not the cartoon character, okay, but the big concert that was in Woodstock, New York. Okay, did anybody go? Is there anybody here that went? Wouldn't have that been cool to be able to say, man, I was at Woodstock? That would have been so cool. Well, 1969 is an awesome year, and Woodstock was in August of 1969. Also, the Apollo 11 landed on the moon, Neil Armstrong, and you probably know he's famous for the saying of one small step for man and one leap for mankind. That's right, that's right. So yay, y'all are right with me. Well, there's another big event. Can y'all hear me okay if I don't do the mic? I kind of have a little tiny voice. But in 1969, there was one other great event that happened, and I graduated. That was my graduation year. So, you know, the 6 and the 9, kind of the yin and the yang. The thing is, I never worry about my age. You know, Missy alluded to that. I love life. And every day that I wake up is a blessing. So why would I mind telling how old I am? However, when I got the invitation that said, you know, the invitation to the 50th school reunion, y'all, I had a problem with that. It's like, oh my gosh, that can't be me. I am not 50 years out of high school. So I did a little math and they were right. So I looked at the list and I said, well, I know a few of these people, and I graduated from Bellevue High School right outside of Omaha, Nebraska, so if y'all want to know where that is. And I thought, okay, I'll go. I have a favorite hamburger place that's called Stella's. I'll go to Stella's, and I'll drive around the high school, and I'll have a good weekend, whether I connect with anybody or not. Y'all ever felt kind of those kind of things? So I went. What I did not expect is that I was going to have a major aha moment. But I'll fill you in on that aha moment in a minute. First of all, a little bit about me is that my dad was a colonel in the Air Force. We went to the Southern Baptist Church, and I was raised in the South. Now, I don't know about y'all, but if you can put those three things together, my life was extremely strict. I couldn't do anything. You know, it was like you stay on the road, the narrow road right here. There's no flexibility. And it was all about do not. You know, you don't smoke, you don't drink, you don't dance, you don't play cards, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I didn't know until many years later that I had a voice or that I had a choice about anything in my life. So when I began to explore that, it's like, oh, wow, this is pretty cool. And I'm going to tell you about how that switch happened. But I want to ask you, have you ever felt that way yourself? Have you ever felt invisible? Like nobody really cares if you're there. You know, you're hesitant to go to things because, well, they don't notice me anyway. Have you ever felt that thing of, you know, I really would like to give my opinion. I do have an opinion, but you're so afraid to give it because you know they're not going to listen to you and that they're going to think your opinion isn't worthwhile anyway. So I'm not going to have you show your hands, but I can tell by little nods that I'm hitting where some of y'all understand that. So I just want to encourage you, and matter of fact, I want to recognize you today because you are here. You're not content to stay home like many who are still staying home after this 2-year time. Is it 2 years now we've been here? Okay. Yeah. So it's like, I don't know, they keep floating, or we had 2 or 3 or whatever. So because you're here, you stepped out. Obviously, you're ready to grow. You're ready for change. You're ready to do something in your life, which is why you're here, or you would have just stayed home today. So I want you to give yourselves a kudo, but I have a very favorite way of doing it. This is what I do with my fun, fearless gals, but guys, you can do it too. It's okay. And it's a woo. So any of y'all that know the woo, do that with me. So give yourselves a woo. Woo! Oh, y'all are good. But you gotta get the hands going too. So, okay, will you do it again? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Woo! So let's go back to, now we're gonna go back to the reunion. So I decided to go, and we're in a big ballroom. We've had a lovely dinner. And the Bel Airs get up to sing. Now, let me tell you who the Bel Airs are. The Bel Airs were the premier audition singing group at our high school. And I always wanted to be them. I would look at them, it's like, oh man, I want to do that. And I was singing at church, but church was just church. It didn't count. In my head, that gives you an idea of where I'm going with this talk, is the fact that, so I just thought, well, they're so good. So that night they got up to sing. It's like, oh, wow, they're still good after 50 years. And I went up to them afterwards and I began chatting with them. And there was Carrie Blair. Now, did y'all school have a Carrie Blair? He was the leading man. Tall, 6 feet, blonde, had the lead in every play. And, now 50 years later, I'm a little more confident than I was back then. So I just went right up to him and I'm talking to him. And he said to me, well, Delinda, I know you sing. Why didn't you ever sing with us? And I said, well, and here is the truth. I said, I never auditioned. I never tried out. And he said, well, why on earth not? And I said, and here's the aha. I knew you wouldn't pick me, so I never tried out. Have any of y'all ever felt that? It's like I realized at that aha moment, it's like 50 years later, I'm finally figuring it out. I'm a mindset coach, and I didn't even know I was doing that to myself. So after that part, then I thought, okay, I began to look at my life and realize there had been many of those other opportunities that I had in my life that I never said yes because I didn't feel worthy. I knew they would tell me no anyway, in my head. I'm talking about my own, self-talk going on in here. So what I want to ask you is, are you making, or what choices are you making right now that may be holding you back? Because chances are, I could ask for a show of hand, I will. Is there anybody today that is exactly where they want to be in their life and you knew this is where you're going to be and life is everything you thought? Is there anybody? Well, yay! All right! Because most of us are continuing on a journey. We haven't reached where we want to be, and the last 2 years may have set you back, maybe not. You may be climbing towards what that is, but part of our growth is reaching new heights. And I think as God reveals more stuff to us, when we're faithful and we attain one level, then he opens up more doors for us to walk through and go through again. So there's a really good movie out called The American Underdog. Have any of y'all been to see that? Oh, okay, yeah, really good, yeah. And it is really good. So my husband, who is a non-movie watcher, he came in on New Year's Day and said, let's go to the movie. And I said, well, sure. What are we going to see? Because he never wanted